Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Geri Petito Show on Damon Looks. This is so cool, everybody. This is part three, okay, of a show today, Organic versus GMO. This is part three. I'm going to be reading this poem to you guys. Actually, let's start with that. I'm going to read this poem that I wrote about it, okay? And then we're going to talk about this. It's really important, all right? So here we go. Organic is the way to go. It's higher price, this I know. It doesn't make sense to many of you. The reason is simple, to keep us sick too. It's cheaper to eat all the poison they sell to add to our food so we don't stay well. They don't want us healthy. They want us real sick. It's your choice to make, but you better be quick. They're polluting our water. They're polluting our soil. Our food source is toxic, makes my blood boil. If we ate more healthy, the doctors would yell, because then they'd be broke with no BS to sell. I stay away as much as I can. I'd rather listen to my body than any other man. Organic farmers are becoming more scarce. GMOs are the future, health's a thing of the past. So wake up, America, please take a stand. Our food source is vital, and so is our land. GMOs and pesticides were never meant to be eaten by a human being, far back as I can see. It's not just our food, all products we use. Poisoning our products, I call this abuse. Our toothpaste is toxic, goes straight in our mouth. All of our home care, what's this all about? Even baby products. Yep, I kid you not. Our kids should be all safe. This makes me really hot. The chemicals and toxins they add to our stuff, this country's getting crazy. Staying healthy is getting rough. Don't be governed by power and greed. You have a right to know what goes into your food source now, organic or GMO. Guys, take this serious. There's so much going on out there that it's almost impossible for us to combat, but we still have a voice and we still can take a stand. And you can make as many changes needed for your personal care. Okay? How, safe is your haven, your home? So, why don't you start there? Make baby steps, guys, okay? Because here's the thing. It has to start somewhere. And you're never too old. So I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear I'm too old. You are never, ever, ever too old. So I want to share a couple cool things about me right now first, and then we're going to get into what GMOs are. I'm the author of I'm Not an Addict, I'm Just an Ass. I'd rather be a smart ass than a dumbass. See, guys, 28 years ago, July 27th, I was a dumbass. 28 years later, July 27th, I'm now a smart ass. So the reason I'm bringing up addiction as well is because it kind of all clumps together. Addiction, food, sugar, okay? It all clumps together. So we're going to get into all that. But I want to tell you what GMOs are, okay? Because this is important. Okay. What are GMOs? Are GMOs safe? Why do farmers grow GMO crops? We know there are a lot of questions regarding GMOs, genetically modified organisms. Let's start with the basics, okay? When people refer to genetically modified organisms, GMOs, they are referring to crops developed through genetic engineering. You hear me? Genetic engineering, a more precise method of plant breeding. Genetic engineering, also referred to as biotechnology, allows plant breeders to take a desirable trait found in nature and transfer it from one plant or organism to the plant they want to improve. They want to improve nature. Got it? All right. As well as make a change to an existing trait in a plant they are developing. Got it? Okay. Some examples of desirable traits commonly transferred include resistance to insects and disease and tolerance to herbicides that allow farmers to better control weeds. All right. Let's talk about that for a minute, okay? So, so what they want to do is they want to make changes so that their plants become resistant to insects and disease. Got it? Insects. Okay. So let's talk about that for a minute. See, nature is a lot smarter than humans, okay? Because it all works together. There are reasons why certain plants attract certain insects. There are reasons why certain plants get diseased at a certain time so that the people don't eat that at that moment. There's something going on. So the plant is letting you know, okay? The other thing is this, insects. There is a role for every single insect that's ever been created. There's a role for, okay, shellfish. The only purpose to shellfish ever was to clean the bottoms of our beautiful oceans that now have been completely contaminated because of us, humans, right? So back in the day, I'm going to tell you something you probably don't know. Lobster was prisoners' food. You heard me right. Google it. It's out there. Lobster was prisoners' food because shellfish is the pits for human body, human consumption. So, but the lobster industry said, hey, let's hook up with corporate America. Let's get these dumb Americans thinking it's rich people's food. And everybody wants lobster. Okay? It's so toxic. So, having said that, I want to get back to how nature really knew what it was doing. There were so many reasons for every single animal, every farm animal, right? Sea creature. We've tainted it all. So now what they want to do is they want to grow our food in a lab, not in soil, not as a plant, but in a plant. There's a big difference, guys. So you guys really need to research this and get on board and understand what is happening. Okay? I'm really, really surprised that this is going on as long as it is, and it's still continuing. All right? We have a right to have a say, and we need to use that. We need to use our voice. Okay, guys? Let's see. All right. Let's talk about USDA certified organic foods. They are grown and processed according to federal guidelines addressing, among many factors, soil quality, animal raising practices, pest and weed control, and use of additives. Organic producers rely on natural substances and physical, mechanical, or biologically based farming methods to the fullest extent possible. Okay? Organic meat, poultry, eggs, and dairy products come from animals that are given no antibiotics or growth hormones. Okay, got that? Nothing. Okay. Organic food is produced without using most conventional pesticides, fertilizers made with synthetic ingredients, or sewage sludge, bioengineering, or ionizing radiation. You understand that? That's vital. So I'm going to ask you guys something to really ponder. What would you rather put in your body? Would you rather put in your body foods grown from a plant in the ground from the beginning of time, the right way, or foods now grown in a plant, a building? Okay? Is that what you really want? Think about what it's doing to society, to our bodies, to our health. Think about what it's doing to your children. Think about it. All right. So I'm going to tell you about some food codes that you need to really understand. Back in the day, we didn't really have, well, not even me so much. I mean, things started changing as I was growing up. I was born in 1961, so things started changing. But today, they're worse than ever. Okay? They're worse than ever. So I'm going to tell you some food codes you might want to look for. Because, excuse me, I've had a sore throat. Organic will have 9 digits. GMOs will have 8 digits. Conventional 4 digits. Got that? Organic will have 9, GMO will have 8, conventional will have 4. Okay? Very important. So now I'm going to tell you about the Clean 15. I still do my best to even buy these foods organic, but if you're trying to save money, these foods are not the worst foods you can eat if they're not organic. Okay? They're 15 of the best. The list has actually grown a little bit. So I've got about 20 here for you. Okay? So avocados. Okay? If organic's too expensive, feel free to buy conventional. Sweet corn. Okay? I still have a problem with that being on the list, and I'll tell you why. Because the majority of corn in this country is GMO. Maybe sweet corn is a little different. I'm not sure, but I stay away. I buy all my corn organic. Pineapples. Sweet peas that are frozen. Okay, there's probably a reason for that. Onions. Papayas. Eggplant. Asparagus. Kiwis. Cabbage. Cauliflower. Cantaloupes, and all melons with thick rinds. You can still buy conventional, okay? Broccoli, mushrooms, honeydew, mangoes, grapefruit, oranges, bananas, and pumpkins. How about that? All right? I'm going to tell you something else. This is a surprise. Quinoa. Some of you may not even know what that is. It's an amazing grain. Quinoa. The coating is nearly impermeable to pests. Growers don't even bother spraying it. Isn't that cool? Okay. So there's a reason for that as well. I don't know this to be true, but I'm just guessing that pests will not benefit from quinoa. So that's why there's no need for them to go near it. Okay? Or it could be poisonous to them, and that's why their coating is impossible to penetrate. See where I'm going with all this? Like, you got to start using your head. So there's reasons for everything. So I'm not really sure if that's accurate. That's something I came up with, okay? But it makes sense to me. So I might even Google that one day. Maple syrup, guys. It's usually forest harvested from untreated trees. FYI, all syrups are not 100% syrup. Choose pure maple syrup, guys. Aunt Jemima, sorry, it's not. It's all sugar, high fructose corn syrup. Read the labels, okay? So now I'm going to give you a list that was called the Dirty Dozen. That's up to about 15 now, maybe a little bit more. So what that means is this. These are extremely toxic foods unless they're organic. I would never, ever, ever eat these foods unless they were organic. Okay? And here we go. Number 1 on the list. You're going to be upset. Strawberries. Guys, please, I'm begging you. Don't ever eat strawberries unless they're organic. Okay? Don't give them to your kids. Spinach. You're laughing, probably saying, I hate spinach. I love it. Kale. All leafy greens. Okay? Lettuce, collards, all that. Okay? Nectarines. Apples, guys. Apples should be organic. Grapes. Yep. Peaches. Cherries. Pears. Tomatoes. Celery. Potatoes. Bell peppers. That's right. Cucumbers. And eggs. All meat and dairy. If you're going to consume meat and dairy, please, I'm begging you, make sure it's organic. Now, here's a surprise. I drink my coffee in the morning. I believe 1 cup of coffee is healthy. My nonna drank it her whole life and lived to 100. But my coffee is organic, and I didn't realize that conventional coffee is among the world's most chemically treated food. I didn't know that. So I'm really happy that all these years I've been drinking organic coffee. So guys, what I just told you is very, very important. And a lot of you out there are probably thinking, well, it's so expensive, Jar, and I can't really afford it. Well, I'm going to ask you this. How much money do you waste every week on crap, on snacks, on garbage, on crappy food? How much money do you waste? Some of you smoke, some of you drink. I bet if you cut out all the nonsense, you'd be able to afford healthy food for your health, for your family's health. Okay? So say you're not willing to do that for you. Okay, you're an adult, you have a choice. How about just for your kids then, grandkids? How about if you start there? Make a difference in their lives at least, okay? Now, I'm going to go over some foods, and these are really, really cool foods. I'm always talking about how nature knew, okay? Nature knows everything. And even certain foods were made for certain parts of our bodies. And what's really cool is that they also look like certain parts of our bodies. Okay. So I'm going to go through this because this is really, really interesting. All right, guys, ready? I'm going to try and show you the photos. I'm going to read 3 and show you the photos. Okay. A walnut looks like a little brain, a left and right hemisphere, upper cerebrums and lower cerebellums. Even the wrinkles or folds on the nut are just like the neocortex. We now know walnuts help develop more than 3 dozen neurotransmitters to brain function. Is that crazy or what? I'm going to show you the photos. Kidney beans actually heal and help maintain kidney function. And yes, they look exactly like the human kidney. That's crazy. Celery, bok choy, rhubarb, and many more look just like bones. These foods specifically target bone strength. Bones are 23% sodium. These foods are 23% sodium. Is that crazy? If you don't have enough sodium in your diet, the body pulls it from the bones, thus making them weak. These foods replenish the skeletal needs of the body. I want to show you these photos first. Is that cool or what? Okay. All right. I want to talk about the sodium in the body because a lot of you are probably saying, oh, well, I use a lot of salt. I use table salt is what you're really doing. Table salt is not healthy, not even a little bit. You want to get organic sea salts, and you should be using sea salt every single day. It actually cures high blood pressure, guys. How about that? Yep, not table salt. It will kill you. So now let's talk about olives. This is really cool. Olives assist the health and function of the ovaries. And yes, they look like ovaries, okay, guys? Oranges, grapefruits, and other citrus fruits look just like the mammary glands of the female and actually assist the health of the breast and the movement of lymph in and out of the breasts. Okay? All right. Onions. They look like the body's cells. Today's research shows onions help clear waste materials from all the body cells. They even produce tears, which wash I never say this right, epithelial layers of the eyes. I can't say that word. A working companion. Garlic also helps eliminate waste materials and dangerous free radicals from the body. I'm going to show you the photos. Okay. So, don't you think there was a reason why we cry when we peel onions? Isn't that cool? It's actually cleaning your body. So I actually like it. I like when it happens because I know what's really going on. Okay, guys? So I think that's really cool. All right, ready? Avocados. I eat them every day. I'll explain. Okay. Avocados, eggplant, and pears. target the health and function of the womb and cervix of the female. They look just like these organs when you cut them in half. Today's research shows that when a woman eats one avocado a week, it balances hormones, sheds unwanted birth weight, and prevents cervical cancers. And how profound is this? It takes exactly 9 months to grow an avocado from blossom to ripened fruit. Okay, and it takes 9 months for a baby. Is that crazy? Come on. There are over 14,000 photolytic chemical constituents of nutrition in each one of these foods. Modern science has only studied and named 141 of them. How about that? That's pretty interesting, right? Okay. Figs. Figs are full of seeds and hang in twos when they grow. Ladies, are you laughing? Figs increase the mobility of male sperm and increase the numbers of sperm as well to overcome male sterility. How about that? Okay. Think about the figs. Sweet potatoes. They look like the pancreas and actually balance the glycemic index of diabetes. So diabetics think they have to stay away from sweet potatoes. They really don't. Okay. Let me show you these photos. All right, you ready? Now, I always leave this page for last, and then I'm going to read the top. It's really the first page, but I like doing it last, okay? God left us a great clue as to what foods help what part of our body. God's pharmacy. It's amazing. A sliced carrot looks like the human eye. The pupil, iris, and radiating lines in the carrot look just like the human eye. And yes, science now shows carrots greatly enhance blood flow to and function of the eyes. That's pretty cool. A tomato has 4 chambers and is red. The heart has 4 chambers and is red. All this research shows tomatoes are loaded with lycopene and are indeed pure heart and blood food, guys. Okay, this is going to be a good one. Grapes hang in a cluster that has the shape of the heart. Each grape looks like a blood cell, and all of the research today shows grapes are also profound heart and blood vitalizing food. I'm going to show you these. It's been said God first separated the salt water from the fresh, made dry land, planted a garden, made animals and fish, all before making a human. He made and provided what we need before we were born. These are best and more powerful when eaten raw. We're such slow learners. So even if you don't believe in God, I don't understand how anyone could not believe in God, but even if you don't, nature is smarter than we are. There was a reason for all of this. Okay, guys? So I want to talk to you a little bit about food with addiction as well. So sugar. Sugar is no longer even sugar anymore. Like what our great-grandparents and grandparents, mine anyway, like I said, I was born in 61. So I'm close to 60 years old. So I'm going back 60 years, 50 years to 150 years. I'm going back. Okay. The sugar that they used to bake with was sugar cane. It wasn't processed. That's what they used. That's what they grew. Today, it's not even sugar. It's so processed. It's all high fructose corn syrup. Okay. And the reason why it's high fructose corn syrup, well, I'm going to tell you a few reasons. One, because it's inexpensive for them to make that. And it's incredibly addicting. See, your brain cannot distinguish the difference between sugar and heroin. So your brain still thinks you're an addict, even if you've been clean, but you're addicted to sugar because you're giving it the drug it needs. So you're really not clean and sober. You're just staying away from that one drug. And that's also why the majority of addicts still feel that they're addicts. Even a year or 5, 10 years later, they still call themselves addicts because most of them are still addicted to sugar. So their brain cells have never been completely healed. Okay? And that's an issue. I'm going to read a few poems out of my book. I'm going to read the final poem first. Okay? And there's a reason for it. Change your choice. I had a life-changing moment that I knew had to be. The only way to change things was to first start with me. So I looked in the mirror and woke up one day and thought to myself, I needed to pray. So I asked God to change me, to help me stay strong, to clean up my mess, to right what's been wrong. Cleaned up my diet, cleaned up my room, cleaned up all habits with this old dirty broom. I kept going forward and never looked back. I refused to derail, stayed on the right track. I realized my worth and all that did matter through my selfish behavior, the lives I had shattered. I finally decided at 30 years old to stop abusing my body, my mind, heart, and soul. My life-changing choice that I had once made over 28 years now, guys, my debt has been paid. So you read all my thoughts on how to stay clean. It's all or nothing, my friend. There's no in between. To live or to die is a choice you must make. Your life is not worthless and you're not a mistake. One day at a time is a slogan you've heard. It works if you work it while applying its word. For you to get healthy, for your mind not to fail, escaping reality will keep you in jail. With addictive behavior, sex, drugs, food, or money, substituting addictions, now isn't that funny? I'm not an addict. This too shall pass. I'm not an addict. I'm just an ass. May the good Lord bless you and guide you. The reason why I wanted to read that first was I want to let everybody out there know that we all have choices with everything, even addiction. Okay? I'm going to share something about food and addiction also, and what it does to our brain cells and why things happen. So, I don't believe addiction, any addiction, is a disease. Okay? The word disease is really dis-ease. A dis-ease of the body is going on. So I believe it's a dis-ease of the body. There is a difference. Okay? Because when people hear the word disease, they think, oh my God, forever and ever, and I'm done. And what's the point? But if you're taught the right thing and you're told how it's a dis-ease of the body and the brain cells while using, then the addict has hope. The addict then will feel like, wait a minute, I can cure myself. I can fix this. I can change things. I can help myself. So food plays a huge part in this. When you put processed food in your body and crap and garbage and sugar, tons of sodium, you can't really completely heal your brain cells. So what happens is you'll stay clean and sober for a while, maybe a very long time, but you struggle every day with the thoughts. And that's not living life. That is so unhealthy. So I don't understand how anyone that gets off of drugs, alcohol, any addiction, right? It could be sex, it could be food, doesn't want to live a really fulfilled, healthy, happy life. Maybe they don't want to put the extra work into it like I had to do. So 28 years ago, guys, I was a mess and I made a decision July 27th to change my life, not just to get clean and sober, to change my life. And that's what I did. And I started researching everything I could get my hands on. We didn't have Google back then. I had to research everything. I went out of the country, guys. I've been all over the world on health tours. I went behind the scenes at hospitals, at McDonald's in Asia, Starbucks. I mean, they don't do what they do here in other countries. The countries won't allow them to bring their crap over there. If corporations here like McDonald's and Starbucks, I'll give you an example, want to go to Asia or Australia. I've been behind the scenes at a McDonald's in Australia. I went to Starbucks, okay? They can't do the same thing with their food and the guidelines. They have to change, and they do. So in one can of Coke here in the United States, we have like 9.25 teaspoons, I believe, of high fructose corn syrup. Okay, think about how horrendous that is. It's not even sugar. And you let your kids drink soda, right? Think about it. But in other countries, if Coca-Cola wants to be there, they have to change their formula to like 1 1/4 teaspoons of sugar, not high fructose corn syrup. See? So are these other countries smarter than we are? No, they're not smarter than we are, but they want to keep their people healthy because the majority of people here in the United States pays for their own health care. So the government needs to keep us sick or they don't make money on this. But in other countries where the majority of healthcare is free and the government takes care of that, the government wants to keep their people healthy. See the difference? So they don't allow all this garbage into their food system, okay, into their food source. So research what I'm telling you. You'll be really shocked if you didn't know any of this. And maybe it will help you start making some changes. Okay, I'm really, really hoping that that's the case. So, GMO foods, there are some really great shows on Netflix if you have Netflix. What the Health? Start with that show. Okay, there's a lot of different ones. Forks Over Knives. I mean, you'll see them all. Okay, start with them too. Once you do, you're going to want to see all of them. And they actually go behind the scenes in companies. Okay, they go behind the scenes with two of our biggest poultry companies. Okay, they go behind the scene with our biggest beef companies and they show you what goes on with the animals. I'm going to tell you something that's really, really horrendous. Okay, this is heartbreaking and horrendous. Okay, both for the animal and for the consumer. So, cows in this country, all right? The reason why we were taught to believe that we needed to eat beef is because we needed the protein from the cow. Okay, well, I'm a vegetarian and pretty much a vegan. So I'm here to tell you that we don't need anything from an animal, okay, to be healthy. We don't. Okay, plant source food is really what we need. But I'm not completely against people eating meat as long as it's healthy meat. All right. So I'm going to tell you the best meat to eat, of course, is if you could hunt your own. But a lot of people don't hunt. So I'm going to tell you what's going on with the cows, which is really horrendous. Okay, we'll start there. So cows were made to graze on grass and eat the grass and be in sunlight. The reason for that was they needed the sunlight so that their body could get vitamin D, and they needed to eat grass so that their body could get the nutrients from the grass. So even the cow, the biggest, heaviest animal, one of the biggest, heaviest, were vegetarians, right? So they were meant to eat grass and be in the sunlight so that their meat then had the nutrients in it needed. So when a human back in the day on the farms, like my nonna, when they made meat and beef, right, for the family, that cow had to last them the entire winter. So a family of 10, they made a little piece of meat and everybody got a little piece of it. Not what goes on today with everybody eating a 24-ounce this, 16-ounce this, 18-ounce this, triple burgers. Wasn't meant, our bodies were never meant to be able to consume that amount. Now, having said that, I'm going to tell you what they're doing to the cows now. So the cows weren't growing fast enough for the industry to make the money they want to make. So now what they decided to do was they're going to keep the cows indoors in this giant shed. Okay. No windows, no sunlight, which means now the cows are not getting the vitamin D. They're not allowed to graze on grass or eat it. They're on cement slabs. They're being fed corn, GMO corn, and GMO soy because it's cheaper. So that's what they're being fed. So the GMO corn and the GMO soy is not only not giving them any nutrients, it's also killing them, hurting them. Okay? So now picture this. They have all these cows in this room touching each other, standing, on cement slabs. Well, the cows can't really digest the soy and corn that they're given. So they're having a problem. So what they had to do was they had to hook the cow up to the ceiling with a pole that goes through their stomach. They had to cut a huge hole in all the cow stomachs, and every day the workers have to clean the stomach out from the garbage that's trying to come out because the body's not processing the soy and corn. Imagine this. So now they used to throw that away, whatever they grabbed from the stomach lining, that tainted meat, diseased meat, they used to throw that away. But then they came up with another idea and they said, we're wasting too much of it. So they take that poisoned lining of the stomach that they just cleaned out, they put it through a process, and you'll see it coming out of a tube. So they kill the so-called germs, bacteria in it. Then they put it through a bleaching process, and then they add food coloring to make it look like beef. They use that for your ground beef, 100% of your ground beef in this country. Unless, of course, you're buying your meat and your food from organic, safe farmers. So keep that in mind, guys, okay? That's what you're eating. So What the Health is one of the shows you can start with. Forks Over Knives. There's other ones as well. I want to also tell you about the chickens, the chicken industry. Okay? We're going to talk about two different things with the chicken industry. Chickens as well were meant to graze on grass in the sunlight. Okay? They have a natural plucking instinct. That's what they do. That's how they were born, right? Nature. Okay. So the companies out there, the largest poultry companies, decided that they weren't making enough money. They needed the chickens to grow really quickly, and they had to change things. Same thing with the cow, the beef industry. They also super hormones they shoot into the cows, okay, to make them grow 3 times quicker than they normally would have. Okay, I forgot to tell you that part. Okay, so now the chickens. So here's what they do with the poor chickens, and this is really heartbreaking. So now they have them in these giant factory buildings, okay? Again, with no sunlight, no windows, no nothing, no grass. They're also on cement or wooden slabs. Now, they're in kind of different slabs, okay? So they have like thousands of them, and they have like, like picture planks like this, and then the chickens can be inside these planks in rows, okay? Because they're smaller than cows. Here's the problem though. Because of their natural plucking instinct, they want to cluck, 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 right? They have to cut their beaks off. Now they cut all the chickens' beaks off, and the problem with that is now the chickens can die of infection. So they have to shoot them up with tremendous amounts of antibiotics because they just cut their beaks off. Okay, keep that in mind. So now we have these chickens hitting each other. That's how many of them are in these planks with no beaks, loaded up with antibiotics. Now they shoot them with growth hormones, tremendous amount of growth hormones, because instead of a chicken growing in its few months, whatever it is, now they want it to grow in a few weeks. So now they have this chicken that's going to go like this in a couple weeks. Okay? So keep that in mind. So now a lot of the chickens die because of what they've just been put through. So the chickens that aren't dead, but they're starving, they eat these dead chickens. The dead chickens that are dead because of the disease that's in their bodies, right? So now these chickens are eating them. Think about that. Okay? So now the people that work there under these conditions are also getting cancers and diseases. And they're also sworn to secrecy. But one of the videos out there shows the company's names, a woman that I believe is probably gone now because she said her body has become immune to every single antibiotic known to man working in these conditions. So she said she didn't care if she got fired. She was doing the video, and she did, and she took everybody behind the scenes. So these poor chickens now are put through shredders. The ones that are sick and dying, they go in there once a week. They clean up the so-called dead chickens, sick chickens, and they just grab them, throw them in shredders, even if they're still alive. That's what they're doing, okay? The other part of this, and this is really, really sad too, and really heartbreaking, the eggs. So I never really knew all this until I did the research, because we wouldn't think this way. The human brain is just not wired to think this way. Okay, so let me tell you what they're doing with the eggs, the egg industry. When you see labels that say cage free, they're allowed to say that even if they're in these crates, because they're not in a cage. So that's all that means. That means nothing. That is not an okay thing. So don't buy something because it says cage free, please. I'm begging you. Okay? So I'm going to tell you something about eggs you probably don't know, because I didn't know this either. So now the egg industry, they have their chickens that lay their eggs. And then they have their chickens that lay eggs to reproduce other chickens, because they're going to need more chickens to lay their eggs, right? Well, if chickens produce boy chicks, male chicks, they don't want them because they can't help them lay eggs. So they take the male chicks alive and they throw them in shredders. How heartbreaking is that? Okay? I don't understand that. To me, sell them to the chicken industry for food, right? If people want to eat chicken. I'm just confused with the whole thing with that part, but that's what they do. It's really heartbreaking. Okay? So they only want female chicks so that they can lay eggs for them. So guys, I'm telling you all this so that you do your research. Okay? Your health is vital. Your family's health, your children's health, it's vital. So I'm going to take this a step further. I'm going to read another poem out of my book, okay? Because food and addiction have one thing in common: everything. How about that? One thing in common: everything, okay? So that's why it's so important. I'm going to read a poem I wrote called Surrender, okay? And the reason why this is important is because we have to surrender. If you want to call it your higher power, call it your higher power. I call it God. We have to surrender to someone up there who's taking care of us, that's bigger than us. Because if we don't surrender our BS, we're never going to be healed. Once we can totally surrender, then we can really look at everything logically and say, wait a minute, this does have a strong correlation. Wait a minute, maybe I shouldn't eat that. Maybe I shouldn't do that, right? So let me get a sip of this and I'm going to read this to you. All right, ready? It's time to give up this control that I show, to surrender my will and just let it go. Because keeping control the way that I've been is out of control, and I never win. I lie to myself and say that I'm good. I don't have that power, the power I should. My diet is bad. It's hurting me so. Sugar and caffeine, I must let them go. So God, here it is. I surrender to you. Take charge of my life. I don't have a clue. I'm not an addict. This too shall pass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. How many times have you felt the urge to give up on life? Probably more times than you care to remember. Instead of thinking with the mindset of giving up, think with the mindset of surrendering up. Surrender up all your unhealthy thoughts and habits to God and ask God to help you get rid of them once and for all. Here's the thing, God can't rid you of all your crap until you give Him permission to do so. Until then, you are choosing to hold on to it. Do you get it, dumbass? Be a smartass. When I say you got to give God permission to help you, what I mean is simple. We were all born with free will, with choice, with choices, right? I would hate to live a life without choices. A life where I was constantly forced to do things I didn't want to do. Not for me, guys. It's just not for me. I thank God for that not being the case. So God will back away as needed and let us continue to make our own choices, good or bad, until, you guessed it, we fall on our faces and finally meet Him. Look at it this way. It's no different than a parent teaching his or her child tough love. That's the hardest thing for a parent to do. Watching their child get hurt time and time again, it's gut-wrenching. But deep down, a parent knows it's best to let this happen until the child finally comes to him or her for help. That parent is waiting with open arms. It's no different with God. My earthly Father has never failed me, and I can assure you that my Heavenly Father never has either. It's your choice. Okay? What does that have to do with food? Everything. We have to eat every day. Okay? Drugs and alcohol, we don't have to do every day. We have to eat every single day. We need to apply that to our food. We need to surrender to God, and we need to ask Him for help to help us with our daily cravings and, nonsense. I'm going to say the word nonsense with the junk food and the crap that we prefer over healthy food. Okay? We have to surrender. We have to make better choices. Listen, you're in charge of your health. You're in charge of your life. I don't understand anyone out there who smokes and drinks and doesn't want to make changes. I'll help anybody out there. If anybody out there who's listening to this YouTube video, you want help, get in touch with me. All right, I'll help you. I'm also a nutritional health coach. Okay, if you get in touch with me because you've seen me on my shows, I won't even charge you. I'll just help you. It's that important. Okay, we have to make the right choices for ourselves. No one's going to do it for us. We have that power. No one else does. Okay? So now, I'm going to read this to you. Soul searching. Yep, soul searching. To search my soul down deep inside, reveal all things I used to hide. To bring them forth for me to heal, stop the lying and make it real. The stuff I've hidden must now be shown. The crap I've done must all be known. So cut the crap and make your list. It won't be easy. You will get pissed. But if you want to really heal, get on your knees, bow down and kneel. Cry out in pain to wipe your slate, relieve your shoulders of excess weight. I'm not an addict. This too shall pass. I'm not an addict. I'm just an ass. Unless you do some serious soul searching, yes, serious soul searching, you will never get over your addiction. You need to get honest with yourself once and for all. Stop putting blame elsewhere. Own it. You heard me. Own it. Then and only then will you be able to heal. Yes, we all have issues. We all have sadness in our lives. But grow the F up and take full responsibility for your actions. If you do this, my friend, you can heal. I once received some of the best advice of my life during a therapy session. My biggest issues always seem to revolve around my horrible mother. Okay? We would argue, fight, scream at each other on a daily basis. I thought I hated her. She was so mean-spirited. Ugh. I was always trying to figure out how I could change her. Well, guess what? I couldn't. That's right. You can't change someone else. Okay? You can't. The advice I was given in therapy was that I needed to stop worrying about changing the other person. Instead, change the way I reacted to that person. Eventually, the person who's upsetting you will have no choice but to stop trying to push your buttons. If you don't react to what he or she is doing, doesn't that make sense? Once I was able to change my reaction to my mom, I was able to start letting go of my anger towards her. The last thing I'll share about my mom is this. In time, I came to understand her. Hurt people hurt people. My mom was abused as a child. So once I let go of my own hurts, I was able to see hers. She was already deceased when I was finally able to forgive her. But at least I did forgive her. Okay, guys, I did. The reason why I'm saying that is because, all right, you got to let go of your past, okay? Forgive those who hurt you. Take responsibility for your actions. If you don't, you're no different than anyone who hurt you. And the cycle of doom continues. So break that cycle now. It's your choice. And that applies to food as well, okay? Because food feeds our brain cells, okay? All this sugar and all this crap that we're putting into our bodies is killing us. Do you understand that? Sodas, Cokes, I mean, think about it. Caffeine, those energy drinks, guys, come on. Everyone out there has to know they're toxic, okay? There's not a person out there who says, oh, I think I'm going to have this Red Bull. I bet it's good for me. No, you're kidding yourselves. So what happens is this. I think I'm going to share something because I think this is important with everything across the board, with all our choices, okay? Whether it's food, whether it's drugs, alcohol, sex, okay? Anything, whatever it is that we're choosing to do that doesn't benefit us, all right? I'm going to tell you what happens to the human mind. We justify everything, okay? It's almost like a game with us. It's almost like we make decisions. We're going to do stuff that we know is bad for us, not healthy for us. We make these incredible, horrible decisions, okay? And what happens is this. We, how do I say it? We have to justify, because if we don't justify, guys, then we're taking responsibility. See, if we justify, we don't have to take responsibility. So if we pretend that this stuff isn't so bad or it's not hurting us, we don't have to take responsibility. And it sucks. Once we address things and we acknowledge things that are bad for us, then we do have to take responsibility. Who likes that? Who likes responsibility? Well, here's what I want to share with all of you, okay? Responsibility is the one thing that's going to save your life. Become responsible. Make better choices, okay? I'm not saying we have to be perfect, because none of us are. But your health is absolutely your choice. Your health is in your hands. People who smoke, the minute they hear they got cancer, they cry out, how could God let them get cancer? Excuse me? Okay. People who drink, people who become alcoholics, okay? I'm not even talking about drugs yet. Drink because it's legal, right? People who drink, horrible things happen in their lives while they were under the influence. They blame God. Stop it. Just stop it. Okay? You're making choices. All right? So, food, it's the same thing. If you're going to continue on a regular basis to eat really bad, crappy foods, and you get sick, God didn't do that. God didn't make you sick. You made the choices to not eat healthy. That's what made you sick. So I'm sure some of you out there didn't know all this stuff. But if you're listening to this, now you do. So now you need to be responsible. And like I said, guys, go on Netflix, There's a lot of incredible, incredible food videos. Again, What the Health, start with that. Forks Over Knives, incredible. Once you see those two, you're going to want to see all the rest, okay? I advise you to do that. Be responsible, guys. It's your life, no one else's. Okay, so I'm going to read another poem from my book. Then when I close, I'm going to close out with the poem I read on organic or GMO. Okay, let's see. Okay, forgiveness. Forgiveness starts within yourself. Put all your trash up on a shelf. Don't forget what you have done, but clean it up one by one. Ask God to forgive you once and for all. Get off your high horse and learn how to crawl. To the people you hurt, you must make amends. Reach out to your family and all your old friends. If you truly are sorry, and this they will know, not by your words, but the actions you show. They may now forgive you, or maybe they won't. As far as using and lying, I warn you, just don't. I'm not an addict, this too shall pass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Okay, guys, here comes the hard part in life. Forgiving yourself. This can actually be a lot harder than asking other people for forgiveness. Many addicts have done some pretty bad things while using. Some of you reading this book right now are in jail, and you deserve to be there. Yep. When you're truly sorry for something, only you and God can know that for certain. Actions speak louder than words, so stop with the lip service. Listen, the people you've hurt hate that crap. Being all talk and no action only makes you more of a horrible person. Say what you mean and mean what you say. Then and only then can God forgive you and you can forgive yourself. Until then, you will stay effed up. I had to share that because even with food, obesity, okay, and I'm not talking about health issues. I'm talking about you just blatantly became obese because you just gave up and didn't care and used food as your drug. It's the same thing. You're not forgiving yourself or someone else for certain things, but it's only damaging you, my friend. It's only hurting you and killing you, okay? So I'm really asking you guys to really understand what I'm saying here. So I'm going to close the show. I want to thank you for listening, but I'm going to close the show with my poem that I opened with, Organic versus GMO. Okay, guys? Thank you. Organic is the way to go. It's higher price. Yes, this I know. It doesn't make sense to many of you. The reason is simple, to keep us sick too. It's cheaper to eat all the poison they sell, to add to our food so we don't stay well. They don't want us healthy. They want us real sick. It's your choice to make, but you better be quick. They're polluting our water. They're polluting our soil. Our food source is toxic, makes my blood boil. If we ate more healthy, the doctors would yell, because then they'd be broke with no BS to sell. I stay away as much as I can. I'd rather listen to my body than any other man. Organic farmers are becoming more scarce. GMOs are the future. Health's a thing of the past. So wake up, America. Please take a stand. Our food source is vital, and so is our land. GMOs and pesticides were never meant to be eaten by a human being far back as I can see. It's not just our food or products we use. Poisoning our products, I call this abuse. Our toothpaste is toxic, goes straight in our mouth. All of our home care. What's this about? Even baby products. Yep, I kid you not. Our kids should all be safe. This makes me really hot. Chemicals and toxins they add to our stuff. This country's getting crazy. Staying healthy's getting rough. Don't be governed by power and greed. You have a right to know what goes into your food source now, organic or GMO. I want to thank you again, and I'm signing off, guys.